decirlo siempre, y bastante fatal.
Good. In that case, I'm just going to move over here so I can see everyone and see this. Okay. Could be a bit easier. All right. Okay, good. So thanks for coming. It's going to be a very relaxed session. The idea is to kind of just effectively, what it says here, bridge the gap. It seems as though we're working together a bit more. I mean, I haven't been here long. Just to give myself an introduction, I joined the company in November. So it's been about 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but since I've been here, certainly in the first 2 months, I didn't really hear the word Content Labs. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly in the new year, especially with the Neon project, which is where we met, working on the logo, etc., then suddenly I realised there was this whole other department downstairs. I got to go down and visit and saw it, and then obviously introduced myself to Ma, who works in front of me with the team there. And then with more and more projects coming along, Content Lab seems to be more and more involved. I'm working with Timor in another one, which we'll talk about a little bit later, if that's okay. Mm-hmm. And it seems as though, as good as this is, this collaboration, of course, we're trying to join 2 departments who are both very big, both working in different floors, I mean, physically separated as well, and then also geographically. Like our team, for example, to talk about the instructional designers and the UIs, we have people in South Africa, Sweden, France, other parts of Madrid, as other parts of Spain, so Madrid, etc., and so on. So we're very spread out and so on. So it's difficult to kind of coordinate and things like this. Okay. So the idea of today is just to kind of tell you a little bit about our team, our roles, what our roles involve, talk a little bit about our workflow and how we would do a very, very basic project and what that involves. And talk a little bit about the deliverables that we have. And then the idea is to think about what it is you do in your department, what's similar to what we do, what's very different. It's also an idea for me to learn a little bit more about your department and how you work. And then hopefully at the end, we'll have about 10-15 minutes just to talk a little bit about projects that you're working on with us and how that's going, what problems you've encountered, how we can try to mitigate those problems, and as we go forward, try to make our working relationship much more smoother, more productive and more valuable at the end of the day. Okay. And again, hopefully this won't be the only thing we do. This is hopefully the start of something. And as we go forward, maybe we can come to your department and you can tell us about some other things there and so on. Okay. So, I'm just going to start with. First of all, you all know each other?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Work each other? Okay,
yeah.
Fine, that's okay. So I used to be a teacher, so I'm going to get you to do some kind of like little activities, but just to break it up, but just to also think about your experience of what we're doing. So we're going to have a couple of learning objectives today. Is, like I said, to learn about the team, okay, to learn about our roles. So we'll be talking about some roles that you probably know, project managers, etc., and stuff like that. Then also to talk about the workflow, like I said, we're going to talk about the order, okay, the deliverables within that, who is involved with each different step. And then, again, as I said, hopefully we're going to identify these common challenges that we have, okay, producing deliverables, working together. We're having to work across different countries, time zones, and things like this. Okay. All right. So I want to start off with well, actually, I've got 2 questions for you. Okay, this is our main question. Okay, I want you to think about what or how an e-learning course is created. Some of you are going to have more knowledge than others. Okay, so what I want you to think about here is how it starts. Okay, what you think the individual stages are. Okay, and what is involved in terms of what we actually have to deliver to the client. Okay? You might have some input in that, you might not. It might be very, very similar to what you do. I don't know that, but that's what I'm going to be listening for. The second question I want you to discuss is to also just discuss your experience of working with our team, our department. Okay, what projects have you worked on, and within those projects, what has it been Has it been one single video? Has it been a whole module? Has it been loads of podcasts, etc. and so on? Okay. So 2 questions. How is the e-learning course created? How do you think it's created? What's involved? And what are your experiences so far with working with our team? Okay. We're just going to work in partners. So if we work two together here, 2 together.
I'm the one that has most experience working with the learning department,
Okay, yeah.
since we joined Transperfect.
Okay.
So I'm curious as well to get to them to know, for them to answer more than I, you know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, first of all, if you talk in your pairs, okay, talk
Okay.
about your experiences, try to answer this question, what you've heard, what maybe you know, maybe you read about it. Okay, then in a couple of minutes we'll come back and then we'll share our ideas.
Okay.
So just talk amongst yourselves. No?
Tú siempre has
Okay.
estado con...
Yo siempre he estado con
You have
ella.
been
Pues me
a lot
refiero,
or...
no, o sea, nunca te han
Sí.
explicado
Sí.
su procedimiento de hacer un script, hacer un
Sí, lo que se hace es como un storyboard de
Bueno,
todo el curso.
Se llama storyboard, hacer
I-
toda una
El
escaleta,
técnico,
¿no?
I
exacto.
have not
Haz de cuenta
been
que tienen
a
todo el
lot, but I
documento
suppose they start like with a
y
topic.
hacen todos
They
los...
want to
todo-
people to
todo
learn,
el-
you know?
Hacen
Y
una
ahí
full
está
sequence,
con el
todo lo que va a
guión.
hacer.
Or
Ah,
they
exacto.
Ah,
Después, obviamente, la
Una
cumplida es
sección.
objetivo.
En televisión le llaman
They,
escaleta,
they start with
que
a
es
topic
como
that the client
poniendo
wants
todo.
people
O sea,
learn.
en cada de esto haces la
And
escaleta de
the
todo,
idea is that
como si fuera un
they
evento.
design like a,
Es
Haces
así.
todo el
Ah,
Haz de
bueno.
cuenta que es como un
Proposal.
technical script,
but also that
pero
we,
con todo,
Bueno,
todos
con
los
todo el
pasos.
texto que va a haber,
Todo.
las
a la
interacciones
vista
como las
del,
hacen ellos.
También.
del cliente
Las
que va a ver que sea atractivo,
Las
attractive.
escriban y todo eso.
So that's where
Después
we,
de eso, empiezan a crear ya lo que es el
they,
script.
they
Bueno, sobre
They
todo.
must do
A
that.
mí lo que me
Yeah,
gustaría
yeah.
saber es
Like they
cómo
contact
hacen el tema
a
del
lot
diseño.
of the
O sea,
different
cómo
departments
piensan el
like
diseño,
Ah,
que
es
es donde
importante.
queremos.
No, I think
Eso
they
lo
do
vamos
that
a contar
themselves.
aquí.
themselves.
Para los que
Okay,
preguntan.
Entonces, después de eso ya se empieza
Yeah,
a
visual.
seguir.
Do you understand Spanish?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, carry on.
okay.
So mostly they even do graphic.
The
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Eh,
And then
que después de eso se viene como entonces la parte de lo que es diseño y development. O sea, primero se hace el diseño, se aprueba por el cliente, que se hace cuenta que es como nuestra full sequence.
Okay.
¿Sí?
You
Con
know
todas las
that-
interacciones, los otros
Okay.
diseños. Lo he visto recientemente que lo hacen en
Okay.
PowerPoint.
and
Yo quiero ver qué-
then,
qué-
they like fine-tune
¿Qué diseñadores
the
tienen?
client,
¿Qué tipo de diseñadores tienen?
Ellos son instructional designers.
Claro, pero
Like feedback.
Feedback. It's like
tú puedes
frame.
tener
Frame, like
diseño
Yeah, kind of like
de
frame, but like more,
usabilidad, de saber cómo el ojo de humano
for the
dónde va a
course,
ir
so
y
you can like
todo,
literally go through the
pero
course and
tener
say
unas
about
nociones
Which
de
part
diseño
they
artístico
like, no.
más bajos.
Eso depende.
Ok,
exacto.
ok.
Y después cuando eso se aprueba, cuando ese documento se aprueba, ya empieza la fase de development.
And
Eso
finally they, yeah.
Entonces cogen y
¿Qué-
todos
qué
lo aplican a la
los
plataforma. ¿Qué
cuales
plataforma
trabajan?
utilizan?
depende de dos RISE y
Ok.
hay, no me acuerdo el nombre de la otra.
And,
El Scrum es el
Scrum
final.
es el final, es todo. Para
okay,
ponerlo
okay,
en el
okay.
NMS.
El RISE y
Ya,
lo
sí,
nos dieron un de esto, pero lo hemos probado el RISE. ¿Y el otro cuál es?
No me acuerdo el nombre del otro,
Design yourself, but
pero son dos principales.
El RISE sí que
y
nos dieron
digamos, tú
otro
has
día
hecho
para
en el que
Exacto.
más o menos como,
Y después se empiezan a hacer cambios
¿qué has hecho con
pequeños.
ellos? ¿Qué
Funciona un
parte?
poco como un frame, que puede
Like
el RISE
mostly
funciona
when they
como un frame
do,
donde pueden
like,
poner
in
comentarios.
the
Y
model,
funciona muy parecido, pero no se
if
puede
they need a
marcar nada.
video or GIF.
Okay.
Nosotros, ¿cómo vamos con la parte de video? Nosotros empezamos.
Entonces,
Nosotros el problema que siempre somos los últimos, que ese es el problema.
Se empieza desde el principio y eso, pero sí, depende del proyecto.
Ya.
Porque
Porque por
ellos,
ejemplo,
porque
Tai
nosotros
Union, por
nos
ejemplo,
¿cómo te ha
demoramos
ido
más.
trabajando con ellos?
sí, pero con Tai
How-
Union, que
how
nosotros
have
pusimos
been
también el
working?
diseño,
Good.
Sí.
lo hicimos, creo que lo hicimos al principio, hicimos ya también unas cosas para ellos, para que lo pudieran poner como diseño.
Sí, exacto.
Nosotros ya.
Pero nuestro project plan siempre es mucho más largo que el desarrollo del e-learning.
Vale. Eso lo miraremos.
Okay.
Yeah,
I hope I got it right.
I have.
Okay. All right. Okay. Camilla mentioned he's got a lot more experience. So
Yeah.
we're going to start here.
Okay,
kind
yeah.
Of,
The newest.
kind of talk us through what you think maybe an e-learning course looks like from beginning to end, and then see if we can fill in the gaps, if there are any gaps, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we were like talking that it starts with a topic that the client wants to people learn,
Okay. Yeah.
the client.
Mhm.
And that's when you enter to help them to create this e-learning, no?
Mhm.
So what we were saying is like it gets the topic, you start like design, like
Visual
not a
proposal.
visual proposal,
Okay. Good.
a visual proposal, and that's when you start also like I don't know if I it's yeah, to help with other departments to get like
Prototype.
a prototype.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Prototype in Rise or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a word I didn't know.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
good.
like
That's
a
all
word
right.
with that. Also, that you create like a channel with the client where they can be this feedback back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
like Frame or
Mm-hmm.
other type of
Yeah.
apps, where you can see if they what they like, what they don't, blah 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 blah. And yeah, I am new with e-learning, and then I start with Neom
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, for me it has been new, even though for us like Content Labs where we enter was only for video editing, and this in this moment for podcast creation.
Yeah.
But not from this like the start. How do you say this? Como no es
Diseño.
del diseño
The
the
design.
podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but what you like, we can do it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
I don't know if you have.
Then maybe like while you're doing the prototype, you're also getting like asset creation from us or from
Mhm.
other departments, or
Mhm.
like like for GIFs or videos or stuff that are more complex than just the look and feel.
Yep.
And then the final, then you get like the final e-learning after a few rounds with the client, and we deliver our assets, and then localization, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Okay.
And I don't know. The second question was like, how has been working with you?
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a
Okay,
minute.
okay.
That's good. Yeah, but we'll talk about it. Okay, that's a good start. Okay, over here. Based on kind of what you've heard here, is there anything you want to?
Well, we think that the e-learning start doing like a storyboard, technical script. I don't know. In our case, we talk like more technical because we
It's
have
the map.
technical script that normally is, in our case, only text, the
Mhm.
script, the text, and the voiceover, and all this. But I
And
think
references.
e-learning use the word storyboard that we use differently in our case.
Okay.
But the storyboard is like all the structure of the e-learning in images. I think like in the first slide, this text and these interactions, and I think they do all like that, right?
Yeah, what they do, or what I've seen.
It's like do a
It's kind of the
escaleta.
map.
¿Cómo se dice escaleta?
In English.
It's
Yeah.
like a visual, the all interior e-learning for know that what we want in each slide.
Step.
Exactly.
No?
That's
Like
it.
And
Yeah.
then it
something like
goes
That's good.
to the developers when that's approved.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
can
the
they
developers
can put it. We
their-
want a video here in this moment, no? Or
Good.
we want a GIF here, or I don't know. That is a question that I want to know because I don't know how e-learning decide how it's look the design.
Okay.
Because sorry because I don't introduce myself, but I'm the glue and Content Labs from all the team, the creative team with the PMs. I'm not PMing. I'm only the person who coordinate all the designers, all the animators.
I see.
I'm the creative part,
Mhm.
and they are the who talk with the learning, but I just do that. And for me, it's interesting to know what designers do you have the learning, what style of designers they are,
Mhm.
how they think in all the structure from the design and all this for understand that how can we help and
Mhm.
all this.
Okay.
For that, this is one like un hueco that I
Yeah.
don't know how
Gap.
a
Okay.
gap how
Mhm.
learning
For the
do
designers.
do this part of the structure.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, we're going to come on to that. You talked about storyboard. I'm going to show you an example, and I'll talk you through that and how we use it and why we use that. So that's good. You mentioned that. You talked about feedback. Obviously, this is something that happens continuously. talked about visual presentation, VP, prototyping, that's important. All of these things we're going to see a bit later. Okay, so we have a nice collective knowledge, but we have some gaps, and we'll try to fill that and bring that together. So that's good. Okay, thank you for doing that. So the second question was a little bit about your experience that you've had already working with us, maybe on projects and what you've produced. My first experience with Content Labs was designing or helping to put together a logo for Neon, which is one of the big projects we've been working on. That's where we met first. So that was our first experience. What other experience do you have working with?
Well, yeah, when I first started, I started working with Nikhil specifically. That was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Tim is también. Tim
Yeah.
Robinson is e-learning.
That's
But-
right, Tim.
Yeah, but we started working with e-learning with Procter and Gamble, which is still going on for some reason. Because of the changes. I mean, at the beginning was good, and then we started meeting the like bigger and bigger groups, and it was a very rocky start.
Okay.
It was very, very rocky. Like we got CRs for everything until we had to put a stop to it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Because we don't work with that like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all my PMs were getting CRs all the time, just because words and things like that. But we never set up a meeting from the PMs from e-learning and RPMs, and then the relationship improved through Sarah Minkoff a lot, and also like I have bi-weekly meetings with e-learning PMs, like with Nina and Johanna,
Okay.
like,
That's
to
interesting.
cover everything.
Okay.
Yeah, the feeling from my team was bad too.
Yeah.
Because we have a rules of how many feedbacks we can receive for projects. Normally, for example, with a big project was Roche
Oh, yeah.
with Tim Robinson, that was a little difficult. We start doing a prototype of the one video because it was 16 videos, something like that, and we tell them, please, this is the prototype, we need all the changes, because when I start doing all the other, we can do repeatedly the changes. It's like, you see structure, if you don't like, we can change it, but now is the moment. The problem was that at this moment, I think Tim Robinson was on, I don't know, on vacation, I don't know where, he don't see the prototype, and when we finish all the videos, they put it feedback, and we need to change 60 videos.
Yeah.
And that was like a lot of losing time, angry the team, very bad feedback inside, because we are working with the people in the same company. It's a problem, internal problem of communication. That was one of the big problems working with e-learning. Another problem was like we have a e-learning with Dior. You remember Dior?
Oh yeah, and that's something we.
Well, was e-learning. They needed a good design on this e-learning, and they searched for a freelancer to do this design. They don't come to Content Labs. The designer grew up, and when the deadline was to the limit, they come to us to say, we need Content Labs to do that. And my team put it all the team to work with that, and was most like why they don't come before to tell that they have this kind of e-learning with this expectation of design with this client, that we can help to do that. And finally we did with a low cost for us, with in 2 days, with a lot of crises inside that people come and back. And
I was on vacation and managing the project.
it's more, ¿cómo se dice esto? Impotencia, that say that they have that, and I don't know if they don't know that we have a team with a very premium, high level of professionality of designs, that they can come to us to and work together on this, and not always when it's the last option, you know.
Okay.
Sorry to start with the bad side.
No,
But
we
yeah.
have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing, of course, we got 3 projects in the past month, including one that Tim is managing for Novo Nordisk, with the same issue, that and I got almost one for Roche as well, that the team wanted just to hire an external vendor to make the videos, while we have the internal team and we can manage budgets and everything if we talk with time. On the good side, though, at the same time, is that we have learned to work together
Yeah.
pretty well. There are been successful projects like Roche, they keep coming. Based on that, like we created a very strong, with all the back and forth, we created a very strong look and feel for these kind of videos, and we just got 30 more, you know. Now the client wants to change them, but it's on the client, right?
Yeah, of course.
The other, another very successful one, I think, was the one with the fish. What was
Yeah,
it?
Thai Union.
Thai
Oh,
Union.
that was cool.
Thai Union is
that
very
was
nice. The
great.
client was
We
really
did
happy.
the design too.
Exactly, we did the design of the videos and the e-learning.
Alright.
Well, not the e-learning, the images on the e-learning. Like the
Okay.
instructional designer still came in and said,
Yeah.
we need this and this and X, Y, Z and everything.
Okay.
And I think we're also hopefully killing it with BP, with that big account that we do a lot of videos and
Yeah.
images and everything.
Would you say, since you started working with the e-learning team, the experience has got better as you've gone on?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay. Right. That's interesting to know. Okay. And we know that we're working kind of together, and we will be on Nordisk, and we work together with Neon. So yeah, it seems to be becoming a bigger and bigger thing. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So that's us thinking then about the e-learning team and thinking about our workflow. We're going to go into that in a bit more detail. in a moment. We're just going to do very quickly. We're going to focus on the team. So when we do a project or any kind of modules or whatever it might be, we would bring a team together, and that team works together, and then sees the creation of the project from the beginning until the end. So we're just going to focus on the different roles first and what each of those roles entails. Okay. So just want you to work together again with your partner. Here you've got the 6 different roles that you'll find in an e-learning team, and they're different roles. I just want you to match them together as best as you can. Okay.
Okay.
I like your style. I like
Yeah,
it.
I like this.
Thank you. I'm so stressed with work, and this is like, oh my
More
god, this is
dynamic.
great.
So let's do like this, and then
Okay, roll, 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 roll.
these
And
and
roll.
solution architect.
Solutions architects. Entonces, ¿qué dice? Interface design.
Yeah.
Ah,
Design, how the
Template
solution work behind the scenes, make sure
No sé,
everything's
estos dos no estoy seguro, pero
So,
coordinating finance communication acá, learning objectives.
No, no, este no es Project Manager.
Es que eso para mí, content expertise, esto es instructional design,
developers, I think.
I think.
Pues a lo
They
mejor.
design how the e-learning solution will work behind the scenes, making sure everything runs smoothly.
A lo mejor es el arquitecto.
Este es, wow,
¿Qué es para ellos?
este es Javier.
Javier
Sí.
Moreso.
Developers, yeah.
O Irene.
Javier
Yeah,
Moreso
because it's
son,
like technical, no?
Sí.
Like,
son rollo sales, ¿no?
Pues por eso. Okay.
Yo creo que esto es bien. Coordination, Timeline
Sí.
and Communication.
Development,
Yeah,
interface,
subject
design,
matter
learner
experts.
experience, accessibility.
or
SMEs, subject matter
¿Cuál
experts.
es esto?
no, it's this
SMEs,
Instructional
como que
design.
saben, learning objectives, content,
No,
social
no, no,
media.
This one. And this one.
No, they design how they learn to work behind the scenes, making sure everything runs smoothly.
¿Cuáles son los SMA?
Bueno, yo diría que como
expert.
Hombre, si nos vemos aquí por como...
Ah, no, content expertise, esto es acá.
Creo que aquí hay una,
Oh,
hay
yeah,
una
I
lista.
think-
One of these.
Yeah.
Instruction
I
design,
think
learning objectives,
this
no, coordination.
content expertise go with this.
Que no, que este va ahí.
No, yo creo que está acá.
Mira el dibujo.
Pero entonces,
Because UX UI designers are the ones that
No es que es gordo.
no, yo creo que es este.
Ah, sí.
user
Ah, vale.
interface and user experience.
Experience.
And
Okay.
then
Puede ser,
Trampa.
creo que eso es trampa.
Ellos han hecho lo
Pero
mismo.
yo creo que
Han
esto
hecho
es
lo
así.
mismo.
Ay, nos está viendo. Learning instructional.
No estoy 100% de acuerdo porque esos son los diseñadores.
Yeah, sí.
Instructional
Okay.
designers.
Objectives.
Instructional designers.
Se son los
Subject
diseñadores.
matter
Ok, bueno,
experts.
entonces, learning
Que le llaman a todos
objectives.
design.
Bueno, puede ser, puede ser.
Or
Yo
like,
no, es con structure. A ver, déjame ver. A ver, yo creo que este es aquí. Déjame ver esto también. Develop interface design, learning experience. UI, technical implementation.
No, esto puede
No,
ser
pero-
así.
UI, claro, exacto. UI es para mirar la interfaz.
Ujú.
bueno,
Developers,
yeah.
technical,
We think-
esto sí.
Ok,
we
vale.
think we have it, but I don't know.
Me neither. So, I think we have the same one for the solutions.
Um,
Yes, that was
Well,
an easy
because
Well, yeah, that was an easy one. Yes. 'cause
I,
you can kind of
I, if you want to change
I wanted to
it,
change
bro,
it.
check the
the size. Yeah.
Then we go project managers.
Project managers,
What do you guys have?
coordination, timelines,
Same.
communication.
Okay, good.
Done.
Then we have developers.
Developers, technical implementation,
Yes.
LMS,
Same.
integration.
Same?
Yeah.
Are we okay with this?
Okay, good. So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
UX, UI, we have interface design,
Yeah.
learning experience, and accessibility.
Yes.
Are we
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah.
And instructional designers. Learning objectives, yes. Content structuring, engagement strategies.
Good.
And
Alright.
SMEs content
Ah,
expertise.
yo lo
Ah, you have it,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
we have
We
it.
had them those
Yes.
mixed up.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, good. Okay, you have the answers. Just that one last one there, but that's good. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. Okay, so when we have a project comes in, okay, we often end up with a team which has at least one of these. Okay, if it's a big project, we might have 2 instructional designers, or if, for example, my experience of being relatively new here. I might have a senior instructional designer who is helping me through the process. Okay. Yep, we have project managers. This is something that we all know. Okay, the developers are more on the technical side. Okay, they ultimately take everything that we created and they kind of like sprinkle some magic and
Mhm.
suddenly it appears in the different tools that we use. The solutions architect, I don't know if that's something that you work with down in Content Labs. That's
A lot.
something that you-
Oh,
yeah,
we don't
you-
have it, but we work
you
a
work
lot.
with them, perfect.
Yeah, it's
Good.
kind of our main point of contact all the time.
Good, okay. Yeah, this is something that's new for me. I've worked with project managers before, but the solution architect is something new. So I'm learning about their role as we go.
I do
and-
have a
yeah.
comment here.
Yeah, please.
Because for me it seems sometimes the PMs,
Mhm.
and it's the way that I talk with Nina and Joanna.
Mhm.
The PMs sometimes are more for development than, for example, instructional design. You know, they work together, but they belong more to the to development more than design.
Yeah, I would agree. They're a good bridge between the two,
Okay, okay,
actually. Talking about the project managers, they will certainly be the ones that you've mentioned, the ones I'm working with, they have some sort of background in instructional design or UI. And so when we have a project, when we do our checks, and we'll talk about this later, they are also a second pair of eyes. So they will look through all of the material as well and say, hey, maybe we can change this and that. So, they are not isolated from the projects. They're very much included in the whole process. So I think that's important to know as well. All right. And then there's one here. I don't know if this is something that you work with, these subject matter experts. So these are very often external. They are the client themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we make contact with the client, obviously we're talking about big multinational companies, but they will provide someone who gives us feedback on the content or provides us with the content itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they're a very useful piece of the project to get feedback from. If we have any queries or doubts, then we have someone that we can go directly to rather than having to say, hey, please can you put me in touch with this person? No, I know this person is in charge and they're going to deal with it. Okay. Okay, so when we have a project, this is the team, we put this together, okay, and then we move forward into the project itself. Okay. So we're going to think a little bit now about our project and the workflow and how that is put together. Okay. So I have a pretty standard workflow here, very similar activity. I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to put it in the order that you think that it happens in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going to see some familiar language, some stuff that we've already talked about. I want you to look at it. There are 6 stages altogether. And I just want you to put it in the order from top to bottom that you think that it happens in. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I just remember that I have the e-learning meeting with PMs today, so
Okay.
I'm trying to move it, so sorry.
That's okay.
So. Mm-hmm.
Ahora te lo miro, esto lo tenemos.
Parecería como.
Okay, so
No,
Hay que
story
ordenarlo
model.
del principio.
Oh no.
Or no.
Or no.
Y ya no
Sí.
se puede.
Or
En este no estoy seguro cuál va, pero yo creo que es este.
Sí.
Cycles, después
Sí,
testing,
¿no?
después deployment and maintenance.
Vale.
Análisis.
No está mal.
Hey.
¿Esa honra mal?
Sí, que no tiene nada.
Lo digo igual.
Alright.
Okay,
Even
good.
though
We have the same.
the same.
Yeah, I think so. Needs analysis,
Uh-huh.
storyboarding,
Recording, design and
design,
prototyping, development and review cycles,
QA and delivery.
testing.
Okay, good. All right, that's good. Okay, so in terms of, so this is where I get to learn a little bit. In terms of your work and what you do and what you work on, is this very similar to, or similar workflow to what you do? Is there anything that's perhaps missing from that that you would do extra?
So needs analysis, for example, in our case, is more like the script,
Script and
technical
technical
script.
script.
Storyboarding.
We have to
we
do
have
phases.
we have the graphic proposal. We can do a storyboard like handwrite,
Okay.
and a full sequence is like style frames of each moment of the video.
But it's already designed,
I see.
pretty
Okay.
much. So we sometimes don't do the storyboard like hand drawn, but we do, if the client wants it, like we can do that. It depends, we do it more for 3D because it's very specific.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
a movie, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Like we do that. Then we do the graphic proposal,
which is kind of like the design.
which is kind of
Yeah.
the design, but
It's-
only like 2 frames.
Two
That's
frames.
it.
It's only for see the if they are
The style,
characters, the colors, the the style of the
Yeah.
how it's
Look
look
and
the look
Look
and
and
feel of the
feel.
video.
Mm.
And when that is approved, we do all the style frames for all the video.
I see. Okay.
And then at the same time we do the voiceover,
Yeah.
and then the animation.
Okay.
Now live
Yeah,
is
live
different.
action is different. For me, this is like pre-production, production, and post-production.
Okay.
You know,
I see.
even though for this type of e-learning with Neom, I haven't had the production like the same that it's going to shoot. That's the production part. But something really important for me is in the pre-production have like this. How do I can say this? Like this communication with the client.
Mhm.
It's part of the pre-production with the need analysis. It's with the client, but not only with the team, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something different, even though for the times that I have been working with Neon, we have the production part, like the making of the videos that you want us to edit,
Okay.
but not us to going for live action. For,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when those videos have, sometimes, I mean, they do, sometimes Live does their own design, but in other cases they need our help to create graphics.
Yeah.
So we combine both
Yeah.
Mhm.
processes. So we do have a graphic proposal, we do have a full sequence if needed, maybe sometimes there's not, it's not need.
Animation.
And we kind of combine both processes. The ways that they do the post-production,
Post-production part.
and then we do complete the post-production
Uh-huh.
after. Or we can do also the post-production as well. I mean, it's the same team anyway, but we're
Yeah.
focused on live and more motion.
Okay, good. Is there anything in here that you like? You do your review cycles, you do QA and things like this. Is there anything that you're not familiar with at all? No, I think it's
No, we have
No.
used a lot.
okay. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's
Alright.
And then localization also.
Yeah, localization. I've left out. That's something I'm still learning about a lot. So, but yes, of course, that's an important part if it's necessary for the project. But yes.
because
Okay.
it goes to deployment. Well, not maintenance, I guess.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit more detail. Hopefully this works. I've got some links here to just show you some of the things that we end up producing in our workflow. So let's see if this looks perfect. Okay, so this is an example of the content map, okay, that we produce. You might have seen this before, and this is something that an instructional designer would do. So when we have the project, when it starts,
This is like a storyboard?
this is pre-storyboard, but it informs the storyboard. It's the first part. So what we actually do is when we get given the content, which could be a PowerPoint, it could be lots of different files, it could just be lots and lots of text, however it may be.
See some.
As an instructional designer, we then have to look at all of that content and decide, okay, I'm going to take this bit and it's going to start. And then this bit's going to go next, and I'm going to take this bit and put it here. And we create this plan, this content map, to show the client that we have looked at the source content, we've thought about a journey that we want to take, and then we've structured it out. Okay, and then the client will come in and say, okay, yeah, I see. You've got electric vehicles here. I think we should put propulsion systems next instead of this, and then they give us some feedback on it. Okay.
Question here.
Yeah, of course.
How can you decide the timings? I mean, I know it's part of like so early on.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I don't know, in one you said 4 minutes, and for two you said 2 minutes, or interest 2 minutes.
Yeah.
How do you decide the timing so early on into the process?
Yeah. So
How do you
often,
calculate?
yeah, we do calculate. Yeah. So often the client will come to us and they have a general idea of how long they want it.
Yeah.
And so on. So they might give us, they might say 15, 20 minutes, and that's usually very easy for us to work with. Sometimes they come and say, oh, we're happy for it to be 40 minutes. It's quite long, so we might have to stretch things out. And then, well, not so much stretch, that's not the right word, but we would then introduce a lot more activities, more videos, etc., and stuff like this, yeah, to illustrate the point. But Timo mentioned there, yes, we do calculate as well, so we work very often on word count. And so we use AI. We have a bot which we can feed in the material, gives us a word count, and then it will say, hey, this course will probably be around about 23 minutes. Okay.
What's the average per minute?
That's a good question. I can't give you the answer exactly on it.
Okay.
But I can find out for you. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want
Because we
to
do
share. Yeah,
kind of
we
the
use-
same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's 120, 150.
That sounds about right from my work with it so far. Yeah. So that helps us with the duration very often when we don't have one. And of course, they're not exact, but it gives us a nice guide to work with and so on. Okay. So we have this content map. We share it with the client. They say, yeah, this looks good. Everything's in the right place. And then this is, if I was an instructional designer, I would always be referring to this because this then informs the next step. Okay. All right. And so then we move on to the storyboard, which we've mentioned before. You seem to have your own versions. We have a look at. This is just one slide. Okay, but we'll talk you through this. So you might have, if you have a particularly long course, let's say it's 20 minutes, you might end up with something like 90 slides. Okay, and each slide has its own function. Okay. So it's pretty simple. We work from left to right here. Everything that's permanently on the screen, so as soon as this screen comes up, this information will be here, you can see it. Okay, it will always be there. Usually it involves some sort of instruction, okay, and then you have here what appears if you have an interaction. So if I were to click on email, it would turn green, okay, or if I click on office furniture, it would turn right, okay. So this is how this changes effectively. Or it could be that there are, let's say, 4 boxes on there, and you click one, and then some information comes up, and then that would all be populated here in this. Okay. Suggested graphics, this is useful for when the UX UI come in. Okay, this is just really what's in my head if I'm thinking about what I think might be good here. Of course, this is always subject to change. You have narration, if it's required or necessary. The client decides whether they want that or not. The suggested interaction, this could be written, or we sometimes also have wireframes. I don't have an example of that, but these are the different interactions that you would find in the software, like Storyline and Rise, for example. So it could be that you click on an image and it turns around, okay? Or you have to take this and you have to match it to this and things
Or
like
there
that.
are class and
Transitions, okay.
Exactly. So we can put all of this into the storyboard. Right? You have slide after slide after slide.
the one thing, the suggestion of graphics, what they are, these suggestions.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that's a good point. So this particular storyboard, this slide's taken from a project from Nike.
Okay.
Okay, and this is about them keeping their records and how to keep their records accurately and things like this. And so with this suggested graphic, instead of clicking on the word so that it changes, what they would do is just, it would be a tick box exercise. I think it's this one and this one and this one and this one. And then the next slide would be about feedback. You got it right, you got it wrong.
Okay. You add here that what you want to look.
Exactly.
Okay. I was thinking more like there are options to do like in a graphic, like I want. Understand.
And sometimes it can be this, sometimes it can just be an image that you found on the internet and you say, and you would add a note to the UI and say, hey, it's kind of like this, can you find something better? And always the UIs are great there. They always find something better. Okay, and so on. And of course, this is constantly revised. We talked a little bit about the constant feedback rounds. Okay, it's always changing. Okay, but this is I would say the central blueprint. That's a nice way of describing it. Okay, and this is everything works off of this storyboard. Okay?
Yeah, because this is for us the technical script that
Okay.
we're discussing, and for us that's how we describe it to clients.
I
the
think-
blueprint,
Yeah.
but we make them sign it pretty much,
Yes.
and as soon as it's approved and everything, then we'll start
Make
the design.
changes or
Because going back, it's a mess.
Yes.
I have one question. If the storyboard is more to see how the text and like that, how you present the look and feel of design thing to the client?
Okay, yeah, but it's a good question, you're right, okay. The client does see the storyboard, and very often the clients, I found in my short experience here, when they see this, they find it very difficult to imagine it. So we often
because of
have,
the skeleton.
exactly, that's a good word, a good skeleton, yeah, blueprint and skeleton, these are nice words to describe this. And we often have workshops with them to say, hey, look, okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, when you give feedback, you need to think about it like this. And we usually have an hour meeting with them to explain, because if we didn't, I think they would find it very difficult to visualize what we've got. So when we've done this and it's gone through its rounds of feedback and everyone's happy and the client's happy, then it goes kind of to UI and the developers, and they start to work on it, and they'll provide us with a prototype. And this will answer your question. So this is where I don't know if this is going to work. Oh no, okay, that's fine. It's because I'm not linked with the drives on here, unfortunately. Okay, yeah, on my computer this is working. So we would see the course here. Okay, so you can see already the image is much better. Okay, we have an introduction, and then the client would be able to click start, and they would see all of the slides come together. So the UI would have presented, would have taken a visual presentation and brought it together with ours, and you really see kind of like a working version of the course.
And is
How many-
that done in PowerPoint or already on Rise? Or the other
So
software?
it depends on the type of software we're using. So if it's a storyline, we'll talk about this a bit in a minute. If it's storyline, it's done in PowerPoint first.
Okay.
Okay, and you still have some interactions because we can build those in. Okay, if it's Rise, Stephen's been working with, we do it directly in Rise. Okay, so they would see how it works anyway. They'd see the interactions and how it moves.
How many slides do you present for the first prototype to the client?
It depends on the length, but it would be anywhere between, I'd say, 80 to 100, 120 maybe.
On the first one.
Yeah.
The
For
first
look
one?
and feel.
Yeah, usually it doesn't change that much from there because they've already signed off on the storyboard. Otherwise, that would require quite a lot of change to
Yeah,
go back
exactly.
and add or delete slides and so on.
For me, it's difficult to understand that because in our case, we only send 2 images because if we do all did two images is 2 days for design all this. I understand the courses of e-learning normally they don't have a lot of design because what's happening if you do 20 slides of Rise and the client say I don't look the look and feel of that, I don't like the design of that.
Okay, so with something like Rise, or with any project actually, we always get the color palettes and things like this from the client. They would tell us whether or not we'll be, or very often we're using their logo or something like this. This is always given to us. So what happens is when we meet the client and we're given all of the content, it kind of then splits. So I will go off and I'll do a content map and start working on the storyboard. But the UI UX, they start to create the template for either storyline or Rise and things like that. So when it comes to the developers and we come back together, the developer takes all of this and puts it together. And that's when they build in the functions, build in the buttons and things like this.
So this prototype, I mean, you showed the design for the first time at this stage. To the
Yes,
client.
so now the client gets a much better view of a really polished.
But they haven't seen how the screen looks until this point.
Not really, no, not until
Okay,
this
okay,
point.
okay.
Not until they
So it's
see the
less
prototype.
volatile.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
because I think
It's like this and this.
That's
Yes.
for us. If we do the
That-
whole
yeah.
thing, we
Is
have
impossible.
cases that they want to scrap everything and start over.
Mm.
That's why we have the proposal.
because
before.
the level of design is very different, you know. It's videos that you can do so many styles different and the complicity, ¿cómo se dice? Difficulty, complexity, all this. So for me, when I see a training, I think the design, what I talk about design, like it's more complex. It's not like
Mhm.
here. I think it's difficult to do a big changes of design.
Mhm.
For Dior, for example, what's happened was that the client was the look and feel was like a magazine design.
I see.
And this case, when normally the designers of UX, they don't thinking like this style of design, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Very true.
because they do something more easy or basic or more white and okay, one image here, but not like something with a lot of hours of design.
Okay.
That's
Alright.
when we jump. That's when we
Yes.
should join.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry.
But
that
not
this-
always the client wants like very
Yeah,
Yeah,
difficult
exactly.
on
Yeah, sometimes it's like
it
more
depends
normal.
on the expectations of the client.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
It's working. It's working. Sorry, I wasn't sure if it was. Sorry. So yeah, very good points. But they would effectively get this, and so they would click on start, and they'd see how it looked. Okay, this is great. Things like this.
This is, what is this?
So this would be the
This-
prototype.
This is
This is through.
right.
This is a PowerPoint. So it would
Okay.
eventually become storyline.
Storyline.
Okay.
Okay. Because what you sorry to interrupt. So what they would do, because we build it in PowerPoint, because now the storyline effectively you can take the PowerPoint, drop it into storyline, and it's done.
That's great.
And then they just do all of the technical elements, make sure everything matches, make sure the branching is correct, and that's
So
make it easy.
they just drop it and that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. You design it in PowerPoint pretty much. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
So quick question as well.
Mhm.
I'm going back a little bit to the design. Imagine you have a lot of icons like this,
Mm.
and the client doesn't like them. Do you need to change them in all 80 slides?
No. It would just be the specific slides, but they'd be relatively quickly
Okay.
to do. So
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay.
Yeah. But very often, before we get to the prototype stage, the client is usually like, okay, I'm very happy with the design, this is fine, they sign off. When we get to this stage of prototyping, very often it's about wording.
Okay, yeah, of course,
Mhm.
we've seen that. Okay.
And then maybe something they're like, oh, we're missing this video or this document, can we put it in somewhere? Or very often it's to do, I've found in my experience, at the end of the course, that they want to add in external links, things like this.
Yeah.
Very, very simple things to do.
Okay.
But normally at this stage,
Okay.
it's good. So yeah, they get to click through and see that it's a much, you know, all of the visually it's much smoother, and so on like that. Okay.
So for us, we can say that on e-learning, the design is decided on the storyboard phase for
Yes.
us, the
Yeah.
technical script.
Yeah.
So they show them very specific examples and they sign on the design there.
All right, good. If you want, I can send you some examples of the prototypes and things for you to look through.
Great.
Sure.
Right, so on.
And storyboards as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, so we go back. All right, so yes, we talked about those, and you've seen some examples now of these. And then the last three stages, well, the fourth stage is very important. This is where we have a lot back and forth with the client, and also internally we do lots of checks for quality, which goes on to the fifth. The testing is done with the developers, so making sure that everything is linked, the videos start on time, and so on. And then ultimately we deliver the product and stuff like that. Okay, and that's the workflow. Well, I'm making it very simple here, but that's basically those are the main stages that we go through.
I
Okay.
can ask a question.
Yeah, of course.
When, for example, if I give you a PowerPoint like that, how many hours
Yeah.
you need for editing the storyline and give me the interaction scrum, no? Sería?
That was something I'd have to add or consult with the developers themselves, I think. So yeah, from my experience in terms of timings, it's something that I'm still working with.
Okay.
Or trying to get a handle with. That's something perhaps in terms of if you wanted that information, I could try to get it for you, of course.
I can give you, but I can find. I want to know because we are working now with Samsung
Okay.
and we are working with Nikhil team.
Mm-hmm.
And they give us the timing that they give us. I understand that they give like seeing the queue of the things that they have,
Mm-hmm.
not only the project, but it's for know exactly how many hours do that, not for send to me, if not only for understand how real hours that can make do this action in specific.
Yeah.
Not the hours that you send to me because you have other things and only the exactly how many hours
Okay.
spend
Yeah.
or do that action.
Yeah.
Because right now we are trying to work a lot with Samsung because they want a lot of interaction things, and we do all the design because they have a very premium design. They want like a magazine style, you know, with the products and all these things.
Mm.
And we are working with Nikhil, and the timings from Samsung is like crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
And in my team we know that, and I put 2 or 3 designers to do, and we can go with and send to Samsung. At the moment that you need to work with another team that the his timings they are so different and you don't know, and you tell them no it's 2 weeks to do this for the team of e-learning, and they said that's can
Yeah.
happen, you know, it's
Yeah.
but I can do nothing, it's his team, they
Yeah.
told me that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's so difficult to
I think that it's one of the things that I was gonna say that is like this is a really big gap between you and us,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know how much time do you work on the design and on the production, pre-production, production, and post-production, how I
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
and you don't know how long we take, and they are different.
Yeah.
And it has been sometimes that I'm giving the example with Neom, because sometimes you contact us for the work that we have done, and you say, okay, we need this in 2 weeks, but this cannot be made in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it would be, even though we make the rush and we do it and we make it, but we need to have like this understanding that there are different times. There are different times to work. The designers work differently than it would work your solution architect. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it would be great that when we had this type of interaction, the first interaction, we could say not only the budget, but okay, the timeline that you are giving us for the deadline, maybe it's not gonna be the same. So we could have like this match, because that's one of the things that happened to me with Neom,
Yeah.
even though we make it,
Mhm.
but maybe we could make it better.
Of course.
We could give a better product if we have like this time or
I think the point here, the most important thing for us
Mm.
is to be contacted with time.
Yeah.
So having us
Totally.
enter earlier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just not.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
that, I mean, as we were saying at the beginning, that sometimes and it's not the case for Neon, but it has been the case for other projects, that they sell a video and then they approach us when the team says, okay, no, actually we can't handle it now. Let's contact Content because they will make it, because we pretty much don't have any other choice,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so with lower costs, we have low markups. We have like, it's really tough for us. The timelines are horrible.
Mm.
So if we approach from the beginning,
Yeah.
we can work together on the budget. We can work together basically in a very good solution that doesn't entail beyond, for example, that fits the client.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And, yeah, and work closer together in designing. If you need images for I mean, I'll bring up the fish project,
Thai Union.
Thai Union. They bring Thai Union as well.
Fish.
That it was a very collaborative between the two departments. It was a very good effort,
Yeah.
where we actually complemented the e-learning look and feel, not only making videos.
And I think most of the time we are worried about what the deadline that the client says, but we are the engineers here, we are the professionals, so it's maybe we could tell them like, okay, you want this, but for the product to be good and well, we could have like more time, and I think it would be better like for everyone.
Okay. All right. That's good.
And
Good,
I
good.
think sincerity of the project,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's like, okay, I want a budget for this, but you don't know how is the global budget of the client set,
Mm.
you know, and you send a global, no, that can't happen. It's so expensive. Okay, when you ask to me, tell me a little bit more about the project. We have this problem. This money is what we have, because if you ask to us, we want 1 minute of motion graphic on intermediate. We have
A table which
A table.
e-learning has.
okay, but we don't know nothing about your client.
Right.
You know, if when before to start, you tell us, okay, we have this client with this money. I don't know if we put it videos or not. We are doing the structure.
Mm.
We talk before to start saying, okay, how many videos I sell to the client, all this, and we can try to do a big, ¿cómo se dice? Like a pack of, okay, of this design was a gift, was a video, and try to do a more easy price for the e-learning, and we have a good amount of money for all the teams, you know. But sometimes it's like that. You receive an email, we want a quote for that, and
Or they just
the
quote.
next email is no, it's too expensive.
Exactly. Or they just quote, and don't
Yeah,
consult
and
so
they don't ask
forth.
to us,
And it's like,
something
okay,
like
and
that.
they sometimes it's stuff like we're being compromised with a very high quality. They sell on Express, but they want bespoke. The
Yeah.
Express is Beyond. They sell Beyond, but they say no. Actually, the client wants these characters because we put them in the proposal. Like, okay, but understand that's not Beyond.
Yeah.
You know, which happens in ENW,
Yeah,
ENBW.
exactly.
That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So communication and be early,
Early,
approach, early
Yeah.
approach. That's kind of
That seems to be it. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Yeah, good.
Sorry, I don't want to-
No. Actually,
No, but
we
it's
kind of
important.
skipped ahead because I wanted to kind of talk about that anyway. So,
Yeah.
that's good. So we've kind of done that anyway. So we'll finish on that bit. And I don't want to keep you too long because I know I'm going over. So we talked a little bit about some of this already. I wanted to just talk about the software that we use. So I mentioned Storyline. Okay, so this is the kind of like the standard, industry standard in terms of delivering e-learning courses. It's not the only one, but it's the most popular, and you can tend to do far more complex things with it.
I think that you need.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll send you this PowerPoint and things and so on. But these are the software and the other deliverables that we sometimes use, instructor-led training and stuff like this. Okay. We've just had a couple of orders for board games, so this is something new. For
Yeah,
us.
it's
Kind of cool.
nice.
We did that one for
Yeah.
Boeing, and you should ask. I think
Okay.
Heather. It
Yes.
was an amazing
Okay.
project.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. And then we kind of talked about this anyway. These are the
Yeah.
challenges that we often face, and I think you kind of nailed it when you said including you guys earlier. I think it's going to
It's
help.
better.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Prices might be high, but if we talk together, if we talk,
Exactly.
we can find a solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming. I'm sorry I kept you a little bit late. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can do some more of these types of things. I'm going to do some follow up. I'll send this on. I'll send you some examples. And yeah, see if we can keep the conversation going.
Thank
think
you,
it's-
I
Adam.
appreciate you coming.
It's
All right.
worth to have
Yeah.
the same thing from us.
Yeah.
I would love to. Yeah, it'd
That
be
would
really
be nice.
interesting.
Let us
Yeah.
prepare something.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, we have a catalog of design too.
Yeah, like the process, the roles that
And
we
for
take.
you
and
to know
all
that
Perfect.
also
Yeah.
live action could be there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good. I'm absolutely. That's great.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Thank you so much for
bye.
coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.